was I was drugs and alcohol, to be honest with you. And
Mm.
that's why, you could only do that so long. You could only, which is there is a story I tell in the TikToks. And it's one night, I was in my 50s. I was maybe 50, 55 or something like that. And I went in sitting there with Paulie Herman. If you look up Paulie Herman, great actor and one of the sweetest people in Hollywood. So I'm sitting there with him and an old friend named Vinny, who's in a lot of movies. And I'm sitting at the table with them. And they knew I was up to like no good because they used to be into the drugs and stuff when they were younger. And they were nice and we're just talking and they're saying, we were just talking about, drugs. And the guys who are like 60 years old who do a lot of drugs. And I'm like thinking about it. I'm going like, I don't know. Who do you mean? I'm thinking Dennis Hopper. I don't know who he's talking about.
Mhm.
He says, no, no, no. Dennis doesn't do drugs anymore. I said, who are you talking about? He goes, the guys who are 60 years old and they're always doing that powder every night and they're, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me think about this because I knew everybody. I hung out with Oliver Stone late at night. I've hung around with everybody. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Come on, all these 60-year-old guys who are doing that every night. I'm like, no, I don't know. And they said, because they're all dead. Or they changed their behavior. And that was like, wow, that was it. That was it. They weren't doing an intervention, but they knew me, and it was an intervention by accident. But
Mm.
looking back, they probably both agreed, let's drag this idiot over to the table because they cared for me. We were friends. And I never did cocaine again. Never. But that's what it took. Sometimes it takes because all the guys that were doing like De Niro and Pacino and Dennis Hopper, they were all crazy. They were crazy when they were in their 40s and everything. But eventually you quit or you're not going to be 60 years old doing that crazy. You're not, it's just not going to happen. Your body's not going to hold up doing that every night, depending upon. And that was it. I called my wife back she was she was an actress for years. And then she went into law enforcement up in Oakland, California. She became a lead dispatcher for the Oakland Police Department. I
Mm.
called her up. I said, we're moving. She said, what do you mean we're moving?